person.
I know, right? So it's like unnerving. I would be a little nervous about it myself. It's like a job interview.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we'll start as usual. Your name and title.
Corey Marshall. I'm an independent journalist here in Montreal.
And can you spell Corey? Make sure we get.
Cori.
Okay. And Marshall.
Because it's important for us to be able to do our jobs without the restrictions of government, to be able to hold our institutions accountable, and to,
That's okay. You can start again. It's not live.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no problem.
It's important for us to be able to do our jobs without restrictions from government and legal structures, to be able to hold them accountable, to be able to provide that information to the public.
And why is that being a problem right now?
Right now, basically why we're here today is because of the restrictions of the anti-terrorism bill and the effects on our ability to do that.
Like what examples? How is it infringing?
For example, the Vice reporter Ben Mikuch, who is being forced to hand over his notes because of the Ontario court ruling.
And I guess there's been examples here in Quebec too, with the journalists being monitored.
Yes, you have the case of Patrick Lagacé being monitored. I know, for example, the case of the independent media. For years now, we've been restricted from being able to film, actually ask questions to demonstrators. So that, for us, is very important to get that story out so that everybody's voice is being represented in the media.
So you mean at protests, the journalists have been hampered?
For years now, we've been denied access. We've been arbitrarily arrested. We've been victims of violence.
Independent journalists?
Yes.
Okay, and tell me what's your background in terms of journalism?
My background is I was a cameraman, student reporter from a university. Over the course of the 5 years that I was doing that, I had been detained 4 times, 3 times under the P6 law, and once I was detained on May 3rd when I was covering an occupation.
Okay, and so you think that's something that shouldn't be happening, because maybe explain why that's
It shouldn't be happening because, first, we're not there participating in the events. We're there to provide coverage and be witnesses to what's going on, to make sure that information gets out to the public.
Okay. Yeah, and then but you're being treated like protesters.
Exactly.
Okay. And why here? Why are we doing it here?
Well, we're in front of Prime Minister Trudeau's writing office, and it's because we want to bring attention. He has said in the past that he supports a free and independent press, and we want to hold him accountable to what he said.
And how is he doing in terms, how is his administration doing in terms of press freedom?
That's actually a question I can't answer.
Okay. Yeah. Well, because you mentioned the anti-terrorism law. How is that affecting journalists' work?
It's restrictions, like I mentioned, about not being able to protect sources, being forced to hand over notes and records that we have, basically.
Okay, that's the case of the Vice reporter.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And also, I saw mentioned on the organization in Toronto, I guess you guys are part of the Journalists for Free Expression.
Yeah.
They had mentioned that this is all coming at a time when also the media is kind of having to close down newsrooms, people are losing jobs. So all of this, does this add up into one big, for all these factors come together to create a problem, or?
It is a problem. The current landscape for me, hang on, let me see.
Yeah, no,
sorry.
It's okay, don't worry. He's live.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. So he's the one putting pressure on you, not me.
Okay. Can you ask me the question?
Yeah. yeah, all the different factors that are kind of making it hard for media to do their job, kind of coming to a head at the same time. You know, like newsrooms shutting down at the same time that maybe there's more surveillance happening, right? Like that. Is it all a problem at the same time, or?
Yes, it is. I don't actually have an answer prepared for that, but yes.
So here in Montreal, I guess, what would you say the biggest problems are for journalists in Montreal?
Well, actually, with the case of Patrick Lagacé, it's the arbitrary surveillance, and in the case of independent media, it's actually gaining access and having the same respect as mass media.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alors, on est en direct sur les ondes de 99 media.org, où est-ce qu'il y a une conférence de presse avec des médias indépendants pour protéger les droits de presse qui sont souvent bafoués au Canada. So we're broadcasting live on 99media.org, where there's a press conference that's about to start soon. Some independent media are doing individual interviews with independent journalists who are here to denounce the abuses and repression from the Canadian government against the freedom of the press rights that we have. I mean, we'll have to redo something because I don't think my mic got enough of it.
Do you want to take French Radio Canada? Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to do it.
Oh boy, my French is
better than mine. Because I took.
All right.
Work it out, guys.
I mean, all right.
And
hopefully they're good with questions.
Yeah. Like, I honestly.
Yeah, no, that's good. This would maximize the audio. This is about normal. And don't never mind the bottom one, but in between the middle and the top. So this is really far from me. Which one?
Yeah.
Oui.
You're off now.
En français ici. Alright. Malheureusement, je suis pas préparé du tout. Alors, posez-moi les questions et puis I'll try my best.
Je vais juste m'assurer de votre nom.
Oui. Rick. R-I-C-K.
Oui.
Fournier. F-O-U-R-N-I-R.
Puis, c'est quoi le titre?
Journaliste, live streamer. Média indépendant.
Média indépendant?
Ouais.
C'est quel média?
99% média.
99% média?
Ouais.
Quel pourcentage?
Sorry to put you on.
No, really.
Comme je vais envoyer les informations à un collègue, je vais juste vous demander de vous représenter.
OK. Est-ce que ça va être en direct?
Non.
Je suis en direct ici, mais c'est moins stressant.
Ah, ok.
Non, pas trop.
Ok.
Ouais, ils sont un peu sales.
C'est mieux pour...
Ok.
Ok. Pouvez-vous juste vous présenter?
Oui, Rick Fournier de 99 Médias. Je suis journaliste indépendant, live streamer.
Dites-nous pourquoi vous êtes présent ici aujourd'hui.
On est ici présent pour essayer de protéger les droits de presse avec le gouvernement conservatif et libéral. Il y a eu beaucoup de répression envers les journalistes. Il y a des mandats contre les journalistes de Vice News pour aller chercher des informations qui sont normalement protégées par les droits de presse. Ensuite, moi-même, je me suis fait refuser l'accès à l'hôtel de ville parce que j'ai été interpellé dans une souricière en manifestation. J'étais pas là pour manifester, j'étais là juste pour filmer en direct. Et puis, c'est pour ça qu'on est ici, parce qu'on veut faire mention, we want to remind, on veut faire rappel à Trudeau qu'on le regarde. Il a promis qu'il allait allait protéger les droits de presse en campagne électorale, alors c'est pour ça qu'on est ici.
Pourquoi vous avez choisi cette journée? Pourquoi aujourd'hui, samedi 25 février?
Why did we choose that day? C'est le jour que l'organisation CJFE a choisi.
Ok, donc il n'y a pas de
journée
particulière.
J'ai mon collègue qui s'est fait arrêter l'année passée, le jour du Freedom of the Press Day, la journée des droits de la presse, pour filmer une occupation. Il s'est fait interpeller et puis il y a des charges criminelles pour méfaits. Puis en réalité, tout ce qu'il faisait, c'est tenir une caméra.
Ok. Quelles sont vos craintes?
Les craintes, c'est qu'on devient dans un état répressif. Je veux dire, en tant que militant pour les droits animaux dans mon passé, j'ai souvent vécu avec des gouvernements qui rentrent dans une résidence sans mandat. Alors maintenant, en plus qu'ils ont le droit d'avoir un mandat pour un journaliste et aller chercher des sources confidentielles, ça devient un gros problème à l'impartialité des médias. Et sans ce pouvoir-là, ben, les gouvernements ils sont libres à faire ce qu'ils veulent et puis ils n'ont pas de balance pour les garder sur la bonne ligne.
Et qu'est-ce que vous demandez? Comment protéger mieux la liberté de presse au Canada?
De respecter la Charte canadienne et la Charte québécoise qui donnent les droits de presse, qui sont on oublie le mot, qui sont garantis par les droits de la Charte. Et puis, c'est malheureux que les justices de la Cour vont contre la Charte pour une loi qui n'est même pas vraiment une loi valide en comparaison de la Charte.
Quelle loi? À quelle autre référence?
Ça, originalement, c'était le C-51. Maintenant, je me souviens plus exactement du numéro de la loi, mais c'est la loi antiterroriste qui a passé sous le C-51 il y a 1 an et demi, 2 ans.
Là, vous parlez du cas du journaliste de Vice.
Oui.
Lui, là, son affaire est devant la cour d'appel. Il va faire appel à la décision. Là.
Exactement. C'est pour en solidarité avec lui aussi qu'on est ici, pour justement faire appel à la cour d'appel qu'il y a une charte des droits et puis elle devrait les respecter.
Là, je constate que vous êtes surtout des journalistes indépendants,
oui.
là, aujourd'hui, rassemblés, là. Est-ce qu'il y a des craintes plus pour les journalistes indépendants? Vous êtes plus menacés?
On est beaucoup plus menacés parce qu'on n'a pas un syndicat qui est là pour faire une injonction la journée même de l'incident. Alors, la SPVM qui manipule beaucoup leurs droits d'abus, on considère ça. On a eu un meeting avec Ian Lafrenière avant qu'il parte envers les médias indépendants, qui nous avait garanti un changement. Et puis malheureusement, c'est lui qui a été changé et puis Coder qui l'a remplacé pour d'autres histoires. Mais tout ça, ça joue dans la même image que la SPVM est un objet de répression contre les journalistes indépendants et même mainstream.
Les médias traditionnels.
Traditionnels, c'est ça.
Okay. Puis pour ce qui est de, il y a aussi l'affaire Patrick Lagacé, sous écoute
c'est ça, exactement.
D'autres journalistes aussi.
Oui, c'est pas limité aux journalistes indépendants, c'est les journalistes, tous les journalistes qui sont vraiment suspect, j'oublie mon mot.
Suspect?
Non, subjectés à des des abus policiers.
Puis, est-ce qu'on doit craindre pour la liberté de presse au Canada?
Oui, parce qu'une fois qu'il y a on n'a plus la liberté d'expression et de presse, là, c'est le gouvernement qui a juste une histoire à diriger. Par exemple, le SPVM, il y a 2 ans, avait émis un communiqué de presse qui avait une manifestation avec une flèche qui avait été lancée. Nous, on était en direct et on a été capable de démontrer la fausse nouvelle du SPVM, comme quoi il n'y avait jamais eu cet incident-là en tant que tel. Alors, si nous autres, on est limités et tous les journalistes sont limités, ben là, le public n'aura pas l'information qu'ils ont besoin pour prendre des décisions importantes.
Puis, dans un tout autre ordre d'idée, hier, il y avait une conférence de Donald Trump qui interdit justement l'accès à des médias, quand même des médias traditionnels importants.
En plus, New York Times et CNN.
Ouais.
Je pense que c'est horrible. Moi-même, j'ai vécu la même chose similaire avec Coder quand il y a eu une conférence de presse à l'Hôtel de Ville, le SPVM qui m'a refusé l'entrée à l'Hôtel de Ville. Maintenant, c'est pas la Maison-Blanche, mais c'est de là où est-ce que Trump prend son idée maintenant de Montréal est capable de limiter l'information avec la presse. Alors, ils font la même chose aux États-Unis.
Merci.
Merci. You get that off me. I hope I did good.
Okay,
We're still live.
You guys want to just go do your thing? Yeah, let's go do that.
All right. Alors, on est toujours en direct sur les ondes de 99 Média. Où est-ce qu'on va? Are we doing the video?
Well, we gotta do it.
Okay. Are we doing the video?
Sure, you can do that. If you're live right now.
Yeah, I'm live.
Do what you like. Either do the throw to the video. Go.
I think you wanted to do a B-roll in front. I mean, you're the director, man.
Yeah, I'll go. Story. Get the mic.
But where's the laptop?
Over here.
On a eu plusieurs problèmes techniques. On avait un projecteur, mais le convertisseur, on a acheté du 300 watts, mais ça nous fallait plus de voltage. Alors on va faire la vidéo en B-roll. Put it on the hood. Put the volume as high as you can.
Freedom of the press is fundamental to a functioning democracy. The ability to hold power to account and to give voice to divergent voices and views is vital to citizen control of government. Despotism grows in darkness. Here in Montreal, fundamental freedoms have been under brutal assault since 2012.
Can you block the sun? Block the sun.
Journalists have suffered violent physical assault, arbitrary arrest and detention. And have been subject to wholesale surveillance, as the recent examples of Patrick Legasly, journalists for Enquête, and others show. In Ontario, in 2016, Vice Canada reporter Ben Mako was ordered by the RCMP to turn over records of a conversation with a source. He refused. In March 2016, an Ontario court ruled that he must turn over records to police. He faces a possible 7 years in jail. In 2015, a new Canada-wide threat to press freedom emerged in the form of Bill C-51, now the Anti-Terrorism Act 2015. This act gives police unnecessary and dangerous powers of surveillance and preventative arrest, among other things. We are calling on the Government of Canada to surveillance and protect the private data of people and groups in Canada. Support the Private Members Bill C-303, which would implement a line-by-line repeal of the provisions enacted by the Anti-Terrorism Act 2015. And support Private Members Bill S-231, which would create a press shield law and strengthen protection for advocates, whistleblowers, and journalists.
As recent events in Quebec and elsewhere in Canada amply demonstrate, journalists are vulnerable to often arbitrary and summary treatment concerning search warrants and production orders with regard to sources. Ben Mayhew of Vice News is appealing the court order to turn over his communication with his source to the RCMP. While working at Vice, Mayhew communicated via the messaging application Kik with an alleged Canadian member of the group ISIS in Syria. As a result, the RCMP demanded access to Mayhew's chat records. Ben is now facing jail time, a fact that has potentially ruinous and far-ranging implications for press freedom and the integrity of journalism in Canada. The public's right to know is at risk. As well as the legal action against Mayhew, news outlets reported in 2016 that police had issued warrants to spy on at least 8 journalists, checked phone records to see if officers had been in contact with journalists, and seized a journalist's laptop. Authorities also called for increased police surveillance powers and criticized encryption for hampering police work. Last month, CJFE released details of a nationwide poll that only 11% of the 2,316 Canadians surveyed believe it is acceptable for police to monitor journalists to find their sources, while 70% believe that placing journalists under surveillance undermines freedom. I wonder if the witness could slow down. Just sure thing, sorry. Journalists play a unique role in our democracy. Because of their independence from government and their objective nature, they are in the rarefied position of being able to communicate with and gather information from certain groups, be they marginalized peoples, members of organized crime, suspected terrorists, or other persons who normally would not speak to government, security agencies, police officers, or the public at large. Journalists are the go-between for the public who can reach out to these people and tell their stories and shed light on their motives. These stories, whether they be from protesters, gang members, suspected ISIS militants, or anyone else, are crucial to informing the public. But the ability for journalists to disseminate this information depends on an extremely fragile relationship. If journalists are seen to be an arm of law enforcement, or if it is believed that their communications are being monitored, their sources will simply dry up. If that happens, the public, governments, police, and security agencies will all lose because journalists will no longer be able to tell these stories. Key to these relationships are key to telling those stories, and they must be protected. This is why a private member's bill by Senator Claude Carignan, head of the Senate opposition, represents a good start in filling a void in Canadian law protecting journalists. Bill S-231, now before the Senate Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee, we believe stands a good chance of receiving third reading in March or April before being sent on to the House of Commons for approval, and we strongly encourage that this bill be adopted. Our poll also showed widespread support for these efforts, with 70% of Canadians supporting the creation of a press shield law at the federal level. There is a need to codify protection of journalistic sources, whether confidential or not, particularly in regard to the issuance of search warrants and production orders, leading to the identity of sources. Bill S-231 would amend the Canada Evidence Act to protect the confidentiality of journalistic sources. Several sections of this bill provide urgent and needed protections in the courts to protect confidential sources and prevent a chilling effect on willingness to communicate with journalists. I don't know where those sections since I'm leaving with them. This bill has a narrow definition of who can legally call themselves journalists. We would suggest that the definition be widened to reflect the emergence of newer practitioners of journalism, such as bloggers. Our proposed definition of journalist reads, any person who contributes directly, either regularly or occasionally, to the collection, writing, or production of information for dissemination by any media, including newspapers, magazines, or other print media, television, radio, and other broadcast media, and any online or other media, or anyone who assists such a person. Our proposed definition of journalistic source reads, any source that transmits information to a journalist. Note that this specifically does not include the word confidential. We realize this is very broad, but there are 2 reasons for this. Number 1, a court or police agency will usually not know whether a source is confidential or not in advance, and this should not be part of the threshold that triggers special care. And number two, as in the Macro situation, compelling information about a source, even if they are not a confidential source, which in this case, Macro's source was not confidential, has a chilling effect on journalistic sources. They would also recommend all documents through search warrants issued against journalists be automatically sealed for at least 48 hours to provide news organizations time to challenge them. In addition, a provision should be included for regular legislative review to keep the legislation relevant. Senator Carrignon's bill would turn out to be the beginning of full legal protection of how modern, responsible journalists serve the public and protect democracy. Both houses of Parliament should support this initiative. Thank you.
So, alors, je sais pas si l'audio a bien marché, mais on va avoir le lien pour la vidéo originale dans la description une fois que le live stream sera terminé. Alors là, on va continuer avec un discours, conférence de presse.
We're here in front of the writing offices of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. You just finished watching, in part, the testimony in front of the Canadian Senate of the Executive Director of the CJFE, Tom Hennifer, speaking about the Press Shield Law, Bill CS 231, which would mean searches and warrants being issued against journalists would be subject to extra criteria. It would allow us to actually protect sources a little bit better, because as it stands now, freedom of the press is enshrined in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but as you've seen in the case with Patrick Lagacé here in Quebec and Ben McCutch of Vice, that the actual protections that are in place don't necessarily protect our rights as journalists to be able to do our jobs and to be able to keep the public informed. I myself, independent journalist, have been in numerous situations where I've been kettled, ticketed, arrested, and it's the case across the board with independent media in Montreal. And that's why this modest group of us are here today to support us on this National Day of Action against the anti-terrorism bill, which restricts media's right to do our job. There are rallies across the country today, and ours is just one of the many that are taking place today.
Thanks. And Will not want to say anything.
Him on camera.
Did you want to say anything? Hey?
How are you? Mr. Trudeau, we're watching you, buddy.
Alors, merci d'avoir écouté la diffusion en direct pour cette journée de protection des droits de la presse. Ça va conclure la diffusion en direct.